Good day, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino Rhino beer review with Beer Dweebs United. We are talking about favorite beers via different styles, as was requested by Harry. So thank you very much, Harry. So today I have a whole bunch of screenshots done for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got a shit ton, and we run from Bocks and Doppelbachs all the way down to pale ales. I did separate pale ales into two categories. I did like North American pale ales, and then I did everything else because it was just easier than going through each different. Because I've had, and we're not talking IPAs, we're talking pale ales, and it was just easier because for American pale ales on their own, I've had over 300. So I'm like, that one needs to be its own category, and we can move on from there. Most of what we have to drink today is going to be mostly lagers, because that's just what I have open right now. We're starting with Lager Brau, which is Bier Adequate. So I never saw before this a brewery that actually only advertised itself as adequate beer. And we're going to start with this one because I liked all three I reviewed tonight. This is the one I liked the least, so I might as well start with the one I liked the least. And we'll get right into Bocks and Doppelbachs. And again, tell me whatever you want to tell me. Tell me your favorite ones too. And the reason I say tell me whatever you want to tell me is because between each different style, if there's any comments, I'll get to them. I am stuck here still for another 6 days. It looks like I might be able to run StreamYard on a cell phone and have people join. So I did go looking for my headphones and I found them. I think I have them over there. So at one point soon we'll do a few hangouts where people are more than welcome to join. And again, let's start off with the Bocks. So first and foremost, from Cameron's Brewing Company in Oakville, Ontario, the Deviator Doppelbach, which was an oak-aged series. Deviator was their first in their oak age series, and it was an amazing Doppelbach. It was probably the first Doppelbach that I drank, and I went, oh my god, that's really good. And I think it was because it was barrel aged. It cut the alcohol. It made for some nice more rounded flavors in there, and it really excited me. Then from Ayinger, we have Ayinger Celebrator, which was also a Doppelbach, but it was only a 6.7% alcohol Doppelbach. Not like them craft Doppelbachs that are like 8, 9, 10, 11% alcohol. Then we have from Schneider Weiss and Schneider and Sohn, the Cuvée Barrique, which was a Tap X. And I did really like both the 2013 and the 2015 editions. And they were also, they were Weizenbachs. They were, the Tap X 2015 was a 9.5% alcohol Bach. So they were hefty. And I don't think we have any comments yet. I don't think anyone's even watching yet, to be honest. And yeah, there's nothing going on. So after that, we had cream ales. So I guess we'll go to cream ales. Right? Why not? Oh wait, there was a comment there. Yeah, there's a couple comments there. Okay, let's do those first, eh? You're watching, awesome. Eating and watching. Ooh, I ate right before we started doing this. This phone is not as good as the other phone for live streams. The other phone keeps them up on the screen better. So I mean, maybe next time we'll switch which phone we're using. Cream ales. I'm not a big fan of cream ale, but like I said, I'm trying to do all the different styles as was requested of me, so we're going through them. And I mean, nothing I have on here is actually really your average cream ale. I mean, first and foremost, we have Muskoka Brewery's cream ale, but the 20th anniversary oak-aged cream ale, because, and their cream ale Their original cream ale was a cream ale that pissed me off. Now, their cream ale won Best in Show at the Ontario Brewing Awards once. And it won Best in Show at the Ontario Brewing Awards, but it was placed in the Pale Ale category. And so the name of the beer was Muskoka Cream Ale. It was put into the Pale Ale category, and it won Best in Show as well as winning the Pale Ale category. A cream ale is, for lack of a better way of explaining it, a cream ale is more what you would expect from a macro company. Labatt 50 is a cream ale. It's arguable that Alexander Keith's is more a cream ale than it is a IPA. Cream ale usually would have corn as an adjunct in it. It's basically an adjunct ale, and it shouldn't have a lot of flavor. And especially not a lot of hoppy flavor. So when I've had my first Muskoka cream ale and it was hopped out the wazoo, and I mean it's not really hopped out the wazoo, but for a cream ale, it's hopped out the wazoo. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then when I saw that it won both the Pale Ale category and Best in Show, which means that it had the highest ranking of every beer at the competition, while it was a cream ale, that pissed me off a little bit. I was like, what the fuck is this? But I cannot deny that the oak-aged variant is very good. Yeah. And like I said, if you're asking me about cream ales, you're not going to get a lot of regular cream ales from me. Like my next one is from Archibald, and it is Nitro Cream Ale Irelandese, so Irish Nitro Cream Ale, which would have been like a Caffrey's or a Boddington's or a Smithwick's. No, Kilkenny. Kilkenny is what I'm thinking there. So, and that's what it was. That's what it was designed after, was all of those. And it's a solid cream ale. It's a very tasty cream ale, and I actually quite enjoyed it. Lastly, on my cream ales is Portage Cream Ale from Mill Street Brewery. And I had that back in, probably 2016, so long before they were bought out. I don't even know if it's still made now. I don't know if any of those are still made now, to be honest with you. Well, I know the Archibald one is because I bought that recently while I was up in Nunavik. It was shipped up in a 4-pack from Marché Turenne, and I would order it again and again and again because I actually really did enjoy it. More comments. Okay, we're moving on, so we will read that comment. Gonna crack my Innocent Gun whiskey cask. Nice. Is it the Irish whiskey cask still, or did they switch? Because whiskey cask used to just be the Irish whiskey cask. I don't know if they have changed it around or anything like that. Would have had a green label. So that guy over there. After that, after cream ales and Bocks, we had English Pale Ale. Not English Pale Ale, sorry, English bitters. So ordinary bitter, special bitter, extra special bitter. And you know what? In all honesty, I haven't had a lot of like ordinary bitters. Most of them are either special bitters or ESBs that I have seen craft brewers make, and it's not like we get a lot of regular English bitters over here on this side of the pond, so to speak. So let's see what we got to work with, shall we? First and foremost, from Brackspear Brewing Company, we have Gravity English Bitter, which was a 3.4% alcohol beer. I had that back in 2014. At 3.4, it would have technically even been under a ordinary bitter in ABV. But more, it would have been like an English mild, but it was a very solid beer. And it was exactly what it should have been. It was your average English pub ale, which is what that beer should have been. So kudos on them for making a proper beer. Next, from Clifford Brewing Company in Hamilton, Ontario, I had the Dark Streets of London ESB, so extra special bitter, and it was 5.2% alcohol by volume. I did have that one in 2018, May 31st. I do believe that was one that we had right after the Albino Rhino Beer Festival. I believe we had stopped at Clifford on our way through on a beer pilgrimage, shall we say, from Nita Beer, because you need a beer in Ottawa, Ontario, at 4.6% alcohol, which would have just been an ordinary bitter. We had Pucker, and Pucker was a solid English bitter. And I do have more English bitters on this list because I've had a lot of English bitters. Excuse me. Barstool Biter from Ridge Brewing Company at 3.5% alcohol by volume, which I had that May 24th, 2016, so that would have been either right before or right after the Albino Rhino Beer Festival of that year, because it was usually the third weekend that we would do it. Some years we did it earlier, but I do believe at that point we were doing it normally on the third weekend. And yes, I'm in my lovely garlic bread Udi. It's fucking hot though. And again, under 4% alcohol, so a proper English pub session ale. And I think that's what I loved about that one too, is that it was proper ABV, proper flavor. And when you get that low in ABV, it's really hard to hide your imperfections. So when you make a beer that low in ABV that's actually really good, you do need a little bit more props on that because you did an amazing job. Royal City Brewing in Guelph, Ontario, their extra special strong bitter at 7.1% alcohol, their anniversary ale, and it was 50 IBU, which is higher IBU than you usually see on a bitter. It's usually somewhere in the 20 to 40 range, but it was also higher ABV than you normally would see on a bitter. In all honesty, unless you're doing like an old ale or an English strong ale, you wouldn't usually see a lot of English pub ales above 6 to 6.5. So the 7.1 was huge at the time, and that would have been that was 2016 as well. I was having a lot of British bitters in 2016 apparently. Jerry's Best Bitter from Plan B Brewing Company was an extra special bitter at 5.2% alcohol by volume. Plan B no longer exists. They were in downtown St. Catharines. Horrible name for a brewery, right? And every single person that asked him about his name would always ask about the birth control pill, basically the morning after pill known as Plan B. He didn't even know that pill existed when he invented and like named his brewery. He was like, well, this was Plan B. We had Plan A for where we were opening our brewery and how we were doing it, and that fell through. So we went to Plan B, and we thought that was a great name. And I'm like, yeah, you kind of thought wrong, buddy. They had a lot of problems with their brewery. There was a lot of problems with keeping consistent temperature on their tanks. They actually were trying to prove that you could open a brewery without a lot of money. They were using a lot of plastic fermenters and immersion heaters and stuff like that. And good on you, you went out and you opened a brewery that would normally cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you only had about $15,000 worth of equipment. So good on you for being able to say, look, you can start humbly and move on, but your starting humbly is great for home brewing. It's not always great for commercial brewing because you don't have as much control over a lot of the equipment. You can edit the equipment and have more control over it, but just the equipment as plain equipment. And I mean, the building was an old building in downtown St. Catharines. You couldn't do much with it. You couldn't hide anything downstairs. Downstairs flooded, and when you have stuff upstairs, there's no real unless you're doing ales and stuff, you're kind of screwed because there's no temperature control. You don't have a walk-in or anything, and because you're using plastic fermenters, there's not a lot of residual temperature holding capabilities on this equipment. It's whatever temperature it gets outside is what temperature it is inside for the most part. So it was and it's not like downtown St. Catharines had the best water either. So he was fighting an uphill battle the whole time. A good guy. Right up until the end when I started seeing him hanging out with these. Every time I went in, there was always this like tiny little girl hanging off of him, and it wasn't his wife. And things went downhill quickly after the look at all the beer I have to give away idea happened. And then continuing that downward spiral, his business partner would start having his sketchy relatives in as their staff. I went in one time and the guy behind the counter looked like somebody that was going to try to shank me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done coming to this brewery. And a few weeks later, the brewery ended up closing, which was too bad because it was nice. It was nice to see a brewery there. His brewery being there actually helped leapfrog the Merchant Ale House back into being known for beer in downtown St. Catharines, because once people started showing up for his beer, they were like, oh, is there anything else down here? And people are like, hey, the Merchant Ale House is a brew pub. And it re-emerged, like there was a resurgence of the brew pub into what people could do. And John at the brew pub was a great brewer, and he just never had the exposure that Plan B did. So Plan B being there helped him in the long run. Yeehaw. Ooh. Irish cask. Okay, yeah. Awesome. Glad to hear it. And yeah, there's supposedly 4 of you. Start talking. Chat us up. Chat us up. Not chat us up. I'm the only Chad here. Chat us up. So, Radlers. Now here's the thing. My first set of Radlers weren't real Radlers per se. A Radler would normally have been like a low ABV beer that was mixed with lemonade, and it was a German thing. It was made for cyclers, and it kind of just evolved into grapefruit and this and that, and it just mixed low ABV beers, so like fruit beers. So I've had some really good ones. The first one I had that I loved was from Flying Monkeys, and it was Orange Mungus, and I had that in 2013. Oh no, I would have had that in like 2012. That was had at the Toronto Festival of Beer, and I remember drinking it, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And it really was. It was amazing. It was a beer that tasted like orange juice. It even had pulp in it, and it was 4% alcohol, and it looked like orange juice. It smelled like orange juice. It tasted like orange juice. I wanted it every single day for breakfast. Orange Mungus, amazing beer. Next was White Lightning from the Flying Monkeys. Again, 4% alcohol. White Lightning was their lemonade variant, so proper mixture, but still higher ABV, where most Radlers were in the 2 to 3 range stylistically. This was in the higher end. Maybe tomorrow we'll do like all Belgian beers. We'll do like saisons and grisettes and Belgian Pale Ales and Belgian Blonde. Maybe tomorrow will be the Belgian day, and then the next day will be lagers and IPAs, and I think we've gotten everything done then. But anyway, so yeah, so White Lightning, great beer. Amsterdam Brewing Company made the Sweetwater Squeeze Radler, which was 3.8% alcohol by volume. Sweetwater Squeeze Radler was the beer that also had the fun little bit of being pulled from LCBO shelves because it was blowing up. They did not crash cool it, so the yeast was still live in the can, and because it was with fruit juice, there would be a lot of continuous fermentation happening, and they were losing some cans, and they were losing some cans violently. Some weren't so violent, but some were very violent losses, and I did love that was happening, and the LCBO had to pull them. I thought it was hysterical. So we're moving on to Breakwell's Clarence and King Scotch Ale. So this was another beer that I reviewed earlier tonight. There you go. You don't have to look at my ugly face for a little bit. You get to look at the beer. Or I can do this and, oh, you get to see me ugly again. No, you don't. Yes, you do. No, you... Okay. I'm looking down at my phone anyway, so looking at the beer is nicer. Next on this list, we have from Labatt Brewing Company, Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Grapefruit Radler. Yes, I cannot deny, and I know it pisses people off that know how much I love my craft beers, but when it comes to Radlers, I love Bud Light Radler. Stiegl Radler was my favorite for a long time, and then I had Bud Light Radler, and I never looked back. Oda Kringer makes a good citrus Radler as well, but again, it's not the Bud Light Radler. I do not like Bud products very often, but their Radler is divine to me. I could drink hundreds of them without caring. And it's 2.4% alcohol, so it is right in that right range. Next, I have another beer from Plan B, again a brewery in St. Catharines that no longer exists, and it's the Non-Conformist Lime. And he did make a couple different non-conformist Radler beers one summer. The lime one was the best. It was by far the best. And unfortunately, the brewery did not continue. It ended up dying. And lastly, for Radlers, we have from Half Pints Brewing Company in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Bikey McBikerface. Bikey McBikeface. And that was a play on Bodie McBoatface, which was the name of a new ship in the British Navy, I do believe. Just looking here at so we got Rye Beers, and then we have So we have 4 styles left after this, so we'll go check if there's any comments. But yeah, so Bikey McBikeface, and I think part of my love for that beer was the name. I don't think I can lie, and well, it's not lying. I don't think I can say it wasn't the name. The name played a big part on me really liking that beer. Yeah. Okay, what do we got here? What's this? You still running this channel? Still living out Owen Soundway? I never lived out Owen Soundway. I am currently living in Nunavik, in Pavernatuck, Nunavik, working up there. We were in the I've been in the Ottawa Valley, and I've been all over the Golden Horseshoe, St. Catharines, Thorold, Welland, Niagara Falls, and now right now I'm in quarantine in Montreal, but normally I would be in Pavernatuck. Reason you don't see a lot of live streams anymore is Pavernatuck's internet is like 0.2 megabits down and 0.1 megabits up, so you can't really do much. It takes me like 6 hours to upload a video to YouTube, so we're getting through a whole bunch of live streams right now. And yeah, like I said, me and my current wife and 3 of my 5 children are up in the Arctic, and that's where we've been that's where 4 of us have been since 2019. The fifth one joined us in 2021. After it was attempted to send him up to us in 2020, but COVID was happening and he wasn't allowed, so he went to a group home for a while, and he came out of the group home and his mom still couldn't handle him, so he is up with us now. And it's a lot of work dealing with a kid on the autism spectrum when you live in the Arctic, but whatever gives him the best chance of succeeding in life, me and my current wife, his stepmom, will do, and that's what we're doing. And it is what it is, right? She is She's going a little nutty right now, raising 3 kids alone in the Arctic while I'm here, since I didn't get to go back with them. But it is what it is, right? Rye Beers next. So we have, first, from Boulevard Brewing Company at 12% alcohol, we have Rye on Rye. And that was had in 2014 in April, so that would have been the first or second Albino Rhino Beer Festival. I think the first. 2014, 15, 16. Yeah, I think the first. Yeah, and we had a beer tuber like drink-a-thon for like 3 or 4 days before the festival, and that's when I would have had that, and it was an amazing rye beer. The Matador version 2.0 El Toro Bravo from Flying Monkeys was my second favorite rye beer, and that one kind of tasted like licking a chainsaw after you cut through a bunch of brush, but it was what it was. St. Lemmy's from Schmaltz Brewing Company at 10% alcohol was next. So all of these are above 10% alcohol, those 3 rye beers. Then we go on to the next page of rye beers, and we actually drop down much better to more my style of ABVs normally. And Serial Killer from Phillips Brewing Company out in BC. Then you have Myarsis from Forked River Brewing Company in London, Ontario. That was I don't remember if it was sour or if it was just barrel aged, but it was a barrel aged beer. I just can't remember if they bretted it or lactobacillus it, or if it was just. Last but not least, from Four Fathers, we had Wee Gobshite, and Wee Gobshite was a rye beer at 6% alcohol. It was kind of like a Irish Red, but with rye in it. Roche Beer was our next one, so smoked beers, and again, it's one that I've had a lot of, and you would think that there'd be a lot of German ones on there because that's where Roche Beer came from, but you didn't. Roche Beer and Rogan Beer, and when I did the rye beer, I did rye beers and Rogan beers together because a Rogan beer was a rye beer. It was just a rye beer with German roots, but there was no Rogan beers on my list. But like with a Rogan beer, Roche beers were not really per se following the German purity law, so you don't see a lot of German ones out there unless they've made them specifically for export. So a lot of the Roche beers on my list are more Roche beer styled than Roche beer period, because they're mostly craft breweries in North America doing them. And let's just double check that nothing's been said. Looks like I have some stuff to read. 1 second before we get to Roche beers. Snake bites. I don't know about the snake bites. You're a good man, Chad. I'm in Montreal too. Well, Hunter, that's awesome for you. Hopefully you're not just stuck here. I'm actually given. Here's the great thing. So as public health got a hold of me, I'm actually allowed to leave my hotel room starting tomorrow. I just don't know what the fuck I would do. I'm blind. I can't walk anywhere. So I don't think I'll be. I might walk outside just to blow the stank off me, but it's not like there's anywhere for me to go or anything to do. I'm by myself, so though I'm allowed to leave my hotel room tomorrow, I probably won't get to. And it's too bad because there's so much stuff to do in Montreal. But again, after finding out that I'm losing that probably $3,000 worth of money that my job isn't not reimbursing me on from this quarantine, I can't bring myself to go and spend a lot of money doing things. I mean, I have some still, but I just can't bring myself to go and spend a bunch because I know I'm not getting it back now. So I've been given the release from my hotel room. I'm just still not allowed to fly to the Arctic because Nunavik demands a 10-day quarantine. The rest of Canada demands a 5-day quarantine. But if you're already in Nunavik, it's only a 5-day quarantine. It's the rules are fucked. But yeah, so let's move on to the next one, which, like I said, was Roche beer. So first and foremost, we have Smoked Helmet from Bose All Natural Brewing Company, which was 9% alcohol. It was basically a smoked version of Dark Helmet, which was their Imperial Dark Ale, which was a great beer. And Smoked Helmet was great. The next one on my list is also from Bose, and it is Bose Roche Stack. And Roche Stack was their 6.9% alcohol Roche beer. Next on my list, people are going to hate this one, but it's from Sleeman Ales. Sleeman's the Beechwood Smoked Lager. And you know what? Sometimes when you get those weird seasonals by the big guys, they do a good job. And the smoked Beechwood was a good Roche beer. It wasn't overly smoked. It wasn't like I was fucking licking a piece of bacon, but it was just a nice little bit of Beechwood on top of their almost flavorless lager. So I was okay with that. Then we have three more. We have After the Campfire from Blackburn Brewhouse in Niagara Falls, which was probably the most mellow Roche beer I've had. Very, very light smokiness, and I think that's why I liked that one so much, because it wasn't as in your face as a lot of Roche beers are. Actually, I think there's only one more. I think the last one just ended up being, the last one I gave a 3.5. So it wasn't on my top, it just got screenshotted when I was screenshotting these. So next, from Brewery Zwanitz, is Zwanitzer Roche beer, which is a German Roche beer. And I had that December 6th, 2017. That would have been that first year I was single, when my ex-wife left, and I had two. Every night I would come home and I would do 2 reviews the second I got home, because I had a German advent calendar and I had a craft beer advent calendar. And that one obviously came from the German advent calendar. It was probably one of the best tasting beers that came out of that German advent calendar, because so much of it was just Pilsners and regular lagers. And then there was that, and that was like, ooh, this is nice. So we have 2 more styles to talk about. And remember, you can talk to me, tell me your favorites, tell me your ideas, give me some topics to talk about, and we can talk about them when we get to that stuff. But we have 2 more things. We have American Pale Ales, and we have all other Pale Ales. And then, like I said, tomorrow I might do all Belgians, and then tomorrow I might do all Belgians, and then the next day I might do all This is the only problem, right? These 2 phones don't sync. So when somebody sends me a message, it's you never know which phone it's going to be, but one of the phones beeps first, and then a few, like 10 seconds later, the next phone beeps. But then the next day I'll probably do like IPAs and lagers, and then the next few days of these live streams I'll do, hopefully with some partners to talk, just to chat, like the old Beer Dweebs United. I don't know if any of my old crew is going to even want to talk anymore, because I've basically been left out to dry since I went to the Arctic, because I couldn't do anything anymore, right? Like, even when I was down here, and I was going to be hanging out with Guy from Drinking in Canada on that Wednesday. Well, one group of people that I used to do my stuff with all the time was doing a beer analysis of a beer I could easily get, and so could Guy, but nobody told me, so it just happened. I just wasn't there. Could have been there. Wasn't. So we'll see if anyone even wants to join. If not, anyone's open. Like, I've always been open to talk with anyone about anything. Sometimes I talk about things I shouldn't. Gotta check if there's any comments before we move on. So you guys gotta come closer to my blind face again. This is the one bad thing about this, right? Hunter telling me I'm a good man was the last thing, so we will move on to pale ales. Now, I don't know if the worldly pale ales or the American are what's first. Let's see. Worldly pale ale, so European, New Zealand, other, all that stuff is what's first. And we have from Halo Brewing Company in Toronto, Ontario, we have Creative Differences, which was a very nice New Zealand pale ale. It was probably one of my first big New Zealand pale ales that I was like, oh my god. That's so much different than what I'm used to. And it stood the test of time, too, because I did not get it super fresh. Next is a New England Hazy Pale Ale, and it's from Stormstade Brewing Company. Stormstade would be in London, Ontario, and it was Sunburst. Great thing about that is that you can get Stormstade delivered in Ontario, and their beers actually are quite nice, and they all kind of have the same design and just the different names on them. So marketability wise, they're eye-catching and not eye-catching at the same time. Next is a Belgian Pale Ale that I am in love with, Orval. Beautiful beer. Orval is a beautiful beer. It was always a great price. 6% alcohol, 6.2 for the 2014. It was a beer that you used to be able to get all the time at the LCBO and everything else. You can't anymore, which is too bad, but it was a great, great beer, and it did deserve a lot more recognition than it did receive. It reminded me, it was Orval, Duvel, and like Trappist Rochefort 10 were some of my favorite Belgian beers to just grab every time I went to the LCBO. Next, from Stonehammer Brewing Company, which doesn't exist at the same time now, from what I understand. They were bought out, but their recipes have stayed on to the company that bought them out. But they're pale ale, and it was just Stonehammer Pale Ale. They also made a beer called Bandwagon, which was their IPA, and I remember we were doing a film set there, and the other husband can be heard in the background telling them, you should just jump on the bandwagon and do an IPA, and then they made Bandwagon IPA, and I'm like, you didn't, like, offer us a bottle? Like, you stole our idea for your name, too. But whatever, I did see that something just popped up, so we will get to it after this next one, which is from Great Lakes Brewery in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Fun Juice. And Fun Juice was a fun juice. I mean, I can't really say a lot about it. As most of you know, I'm not huge on pale ales. It's just, we all have different taste buds. We all have different things we like, and hops were just never a big flavor that I loved. There are hops I love. Nelson Sauvin, Cashmere, whole melon if you use it properly. The graveyard hops, Belma hops. There's a lot of hops I love. The problem is the hops I love usually aren't used that often because they cost a lot, or you have to use a lot to get the right flavors from them. So and what happens with a pale ale, what happens with a lot of pale ales and IPAs, is a lot of the same hops are used in all of them. So they all have an underlying flavor that is quite similar, and that's the thing. It's not a flavor I really all that much enjoy. So there are some that I find that I'm totally in love with, and there's others that I'm like, why? Why does this exist? And a lot of others that I drink it and I go, I've had this 17,000 times already. Why the fuck am I drinking it again? Because it's so akin to so many other beers. Right along those pale ales, look at what became a sub-genre in Ontario itself, the Ontario Pale Ale, which was basically just an American Pale Ale, but with a specific set of flavors. And there was about 27 Ontario Pale Ales that all could have been mixed and matched, and you wouldn't have cared because they were so close to each other that the only reason you would care is if you had something really badly against one of the breweries for one reason or another. The flavors were so similar that it didn't matter what one you were drinking. It didn't matter at all which one you were drinking. And to pretend it did would be stupid, and a lot of people did pretend. This one is so much better, really, because the recipe is almost exactly the same. No, it's not. It tastes so much. Okay. This is where marketing and hype come in. Anyway, I see those comments. American Pale Ale is next, so we will go and see those comments. It's garlic bread, Jamie. Garlic bread. You should put, I'm an active live stream. I would be more active if people wanted to join, but nobody wanted to join. But yeah. I had nothing else to do. What else would I do, right? Usually I would be doing my wife. No. I have nothing to do, so live stream it is. Right? Live stream it is. So American Pale Ale is the last of this set of beer styles that we're going to talk about. And like I said, tomorrow will either be IPAs and lagers, or tomorrow will be Belgian beers. And then the next day will be the opposite. And then the next 2 or 3 days of live streams will be open to anyone joining that wants to join. And we can chat about movies, we can chat about beer, we can chat about breweries, we can chat about anything. We can chat up. I did have somebody suggest a new video stream on here, right? And they're like, you know what, you and your wife have great banter together. What you should do is post some videos of you guys talking about your relationship and some of the trials and tribulations or funny stories of being married. And because you two make fun of each other so much and this and that. And you know what, I'll ask her. She might not want to, but I'll ask her. Maybe she will. Okay, so first and foremost, and I'm actually surprised this was considered a American Pale Ale, because it even has a different place in the name. Kissmeyer Nordic Pale Ale from Bose All Natural Brewing Company. That was one of their side B projects, which it was a pale ale, but it was more like a pale lager, to be honest. Very light in flavor. Very light in flavor. For you American viewers, Zombie Dust from Three Floyds Brewing, and thank you, Ewart, for that one. Great beer. And I never thought I'd ever try a Three Floyds beer, and then that was brought, so that was always fun. One that I never liked the name of because it was too close to Bukkake, but Buff Cafe from Nickelbrook, which was a coffee pale ale. Then you had Chiron from Thornbridge Brewing Company, and Thornbridge is a brewery in the UK, and they make a lot of beers that would get shipped over here to the LCBO. And even Chiron, I was always surprised at how good that beer turned out, because it was always a couple months old by the time we ended up getting it, and the hops didn't seem to have faded like hops here do as quickly, I should say. They would have like Jacquard, and they had a long line. I think there was like 7 or 8 beers from Thornbridge we were able to get, and they were all solid beers. But that was a great beer, and I didn't expect to get an American Pale Ale from the UK, if I'm being 100% honest. On repeat from Grain and Grist in Hamilton, Ontario, which was a 5% alcohol American Pale Ale. Just such a nice, juicy pale ale. Jutsu from Bellwoods, and Bellwoods is well known for their IPAs. I'm more of a Bellwoods fan for porters and stouts, but they are well hyped for their IPAs. And Jutsu was a very good version, and they do a bunch of different like fruited versions of Jutsu, and I do see those comments. Don't worry, we will get to them. Nickelbrook's Coffee Pale Ale, because if you made one coffee pale ale that worked, you might as well make another coffee pale ale that worked. They even actually made another coffee pale ale that worked, and we're actually going to get to that one shortly too. And there is a lot of not coffee pale ales, but there's a lot of pale ales for me to talk about, because just in American Pale Ales I've had over 300, so there's a lot of them to talk about. Bellwoods, 2 from Bellwoods next. Monogamy Sriracha Ace. So Monogamy was their one hop variant of their pale ales, where they would show off one hop, and Sriracha Ace is a very nice hop. Nice little sour lemon flavors, slightly bitter. A great hop for a pale ale, and a great hop for a single pale ale, like a single hop pale ale. Then their Omerta, which was an American Pale Ale at 6% alcohol by volume. I don't remember a lot about Omerta. I just remember really liking it. Then, last but not least on here is the next 3. The next 2. Dreamsicle Pale Ale from Brook, so it tasted like a Dreamsicle. I never thought I'd like a Dreamsicle beer because I hate creamsicles. Like, I hate creamsicles. That orange vanilla flavor, fuck you in that orange vanilla flavor. That is garbage. People that like that need to get their taste buds checked. Sorry if you like creamsicles, but you need to get your taste buds checked. We can't be friends anymore. I can't date you. I can't give you Santa's ho 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 anymore. No. And the Arkell's Morning Brew Brett Coffee Pale Ale. Because again, if Buff Cafe worked out and the Coffee Pale Ale worked out, let's make another Pale Ale, but this time, let's put a band's name on it as well. Because why not, right? And that's basically what it comes down to. Why not? And it worked. It was another one, and even with the Brett still worked too. I don't know why you had to funkify a coffee pale ale unless it was just one of the other two recipes and you just wanted it to be different. So you're like, hey, let's throw some Brett in. Or maybe you used Brett in something else and you didn't clean the tank well enough and it just got infected with Brett anyway. So you went with it and you're like, hey, it's a Brett Pale Ale. I don't know, but it worked. I also wanted to say a whole bunch of pale ale so that when people always come after me with the, you hate them, why do you talk? Look, I just gave you like 16 pale ales that I thought were really, really, really good. Sure, I had to drink like 600 to come. Okay, let's see these comments. I see them popping up, but like I said, unlike the other phone, they don't stay up on this one. To whoever suggested Athletic Brewery for de-alcoholized beers, I bought a 24-pack online to be delivered. Thanks. By the way, sorry. I did give you my email when you were about to be in O-Town, just saying. Next time, give me a few days' notice. We'll meet one of these days. I will be back July and August. End of July, beginning of August will be my next time in Ottawa. That would be me. He got the most popular. Okay, cool. I'm a fan of them all. Sorry, I'm making you read my long emails. My eyes are not much better than yours. Well, that sucks. 6 all out, 6 upside down golden, almost spelled it wrong. 6 run wild IPAs and 6 free wave hazies. Cheers from Alberta. Cheers from Quebec. What's the worst ingredient to be added to beer? For me, it's coconut milk in stout. Man, that tastes like shit. I just had a stout with that, and it tasted like that non-dairy Baileys. Worst ingredient to be added to a beer. Smoked meat and asparagus. Both of them in the same beer. It was a smoked meat asparagus beer, and the name of the beer was Why Not? Well, George, I can tell you why not. Because it was fucking gross. That's why not. There was also George had a great tendency of having a lot of the stories and a lot of the worst beers ever made. One that I had not had that he told me the story of was at GLB, and they hung hams across the mash tun while they were mashing in. So as the steam was hitting the ham, it would make ham juices drop into the beer. And again, like, why? But other than to purposely make a joke beer like the asparagus and smoked meat, worst ingredient added to a beer, I don't know. Anyone that puts cedar mulch in their beers, I don't understand why you put cedar mulch in your beers. It really tastes like I'm fucking chewing on mulch. I don't want to chew on mulch. Why? Why do you do that? There's so many ingredients that you can use in beers, and a lot of times you sit there and you think, why? Why have you done this? Why would you ever think of doing this? But yeah, in all honesty, the worst tasting one I've ever had, probably cedar chips or or the asparagus and smoked meat. And the asparagus and smoked meat at least was meant as a joke. It was meant as a ha ha ha, look what we can do. Where the cedar chips are added to a beer because people are like, oh, this is going to be good, and it's not. It's not. I don't want I don't want it to taste like I just fucking went out to the garden, picked up some mulch, and just threw it in my mouth. I don't want that. I don't want it to taste like I just took my chainsaw, cut down a tree, and went and just lit the fuck out of the fucking end of my chainsaw. I don't want that. That's not what I'm looking at. Not what I'm looking for. Coconut milk, I suppose if you use it in the right way, it could work. But again, why? Sleeman did that lift, the Sleeman lift, which was the coconut water beer. And the reason it doesn't exist anymore is they got slapped down for claiming health benefits of the beer. But again, you would drink that beer and you're like, why? Why just use regular water? Make it a lower alcohol beer. Like, maybe you want some electrolytes to come back into your system. Maybe put a little bit of salt in it. Make a goza. Like, why? So, I mean, there's a lot of ingredients that people end up using, and it's just, it boggles my mind. And then there's ingredients that are fully there just for the tourist trade, like Kitty Vitty in Newfoundland, how they only use, they have their iceberg beer, which is in their blue bottles. And they're expensive because they're in blue bottles and because they use pure iceberg water. Why? Like every other beer you make uses normal water. Why? Oh wait, because the tourists are gonna buy it? Fuck. Like, and what fucking tourists is, ooh, I really want to drink an iceberg. That sounds like fun. Ho ho ho, a penguin shit on this, it'll be good. Like, what the fuck? I need a beer. Thanks for getting me going. You think of me every time you source Sinister Minister from Brimstone. It wasn't my former town, but it was where I did the Albino Rhino Beer Festival, and it was close to my former town. It was in the Niagara region. It is where a married woman kept trying to take advantage of me. I was single at the time. I might be dirty. I might be openly dirty. I might be a sexaholic and open to that too. But if you're married, I ain't putting my dick in you. Stop trying to get me to do that. I was very unhappily married. Very unhappily married in my first marriage. And I had a chance to have a threesome with a set of twins. And again, I was unhappily married to the point where I would tell her daily, please leave. Like, just leave. We'll figure out how to do everything. Just leave. And she wouldn't. And I still didn't cheat on her. When I was separated from her, when we weren't together, I may or may not have sowed my seeds in a lot of places. But when I was with her, as much as I hated her, I wouldn't do that. So the fact that this lady just kept trying to get in my pants pissed me off. I'm like, do I need to go talk to your husband? Like, is that what you want? Giorgio is our next beer. Oh. So we're done our beer styles for the night. Does anyone want to talk about anything? Anyone have any comments, concerns? Should I stop the feed? Should I stop the feed and try and come back in SteamYard so somebody could join me if somebody wanted to join me? And you might have to email me again because I don't for sure know if I still have your email. I'm fucked in the head, man. I forget things so quickly. It's not funny, and it's not even that I mean to. It's just, excuse me, just what ends up happening. I've always had a problem remembering things. But that's weird because I haven't. I can remember everything and I can remember nothing all at the same time. What is with this lamp? It looks like somebody was in this room before me and like beat somebody with it because it's separating from the base. This room is messed. This room is messed. Oh, there's a comment. There's a comment. Oh. Ooh. Oh, there's a bunch of them. Okay, so 1 second. When Innocente started their Pilsener and so much hops that there was a thick layer of sediment at the bottom of the growler. It was so strong. Ooh, I don't think I had it at that point. How is Steve doing, by the way? Anyone know go to Innocente much? How's he been doing since his scorched earth, anti-vax freedom convoy, fuck everybody posts? I didn't care that he supported the things he supported. I didn't care that he had the beliefs he had. I understood them. I think the weird thing to me was that he was doing all of his posts as his business account and not his account, and that scorched him even more because he was going on about the money he'd lost because of COVID, and I'm sure he lost a lot because his major, especially where his brewery is located, his major customers were licensees that were no longer open. But with some of the pictures he decided to use and some of the things he decided to say, he lost a lot more business overnight when he started going off. But you're right, too much hops is too much, and there are breweries that do it. Sam Corbeil, when he did his first butter tart beer, I was super excited. I'm like, yeah, butter tart beer, this is going to be amazing. And I open it and I smell it, and I'm like, oh yeah, butter tarts, this is going to be amazing. And I drink it, and I'm like, oh yeah, hops, this isn't amazing. Why the fuck did you hop up a fucking butter tart beer? It's a fucking butter tart beer. Why would you put hops in a butter tart beer? But his thing was, I put hops in the butter tart beer because I put hops in everything. No, you just don't do it in some things. It doesn't matter if your breweries, even if your brewery has this propensity to bring everything up to say 120 IBU. When you decide to tell people, I'm going to make a butter tart beer, you don't go, I'm going to make a butter tart beer and get it up to 120 IBU. That's not what he did, but I'm just giving a scenario, right? So you just don't do that. You just make a butter tart beer. A butter tart beer should taste like butter tarts, not hops. It shouldn't taste like hops ever. There shouldn't be much hop. You should just have to put the one hop in to make it considered a fucking beer. How much do I think I spend on beer every month? Not much. Because of where I live, I don't buy a lot of beer. I usually get my buddy Brian to send me anywhere from 1 to 3 boxes a month. A box will cost me anywhere from $50 to $65, and it can have anywhere from 8 to 10 beers, mattering with the size of the beers, because we use the Canada Post flat rate boxes. To buy a 12-pack of Bud where I am is $65. Actually, did just go up to $68.50. So $68.50 for 12 Bud, or $50 to $65 for 8 to 10 beers that I'm going to actually like. And the 12 Bud are the small cans, the 344 milliliter, where the craft beers are usually in the 473 milliliter cans. And that's how I do my reviews, is I get stuff sent up to me by him most of the time. If I order from Marché Turenne, I can order 1-2-4 a week. If I'm ordering 24 macro beer, that would be, I don't order every week. If I'm ordering, it's once a month from them. I usually order from them. If I'm ordering, it means I haven't ordered anything. I haven't told Brian to pick anything up. And what I'll do if I'm ordering from them is I'll order one of the 2-4s. Well, I'll put under my name, and I'll buy just macro beer for the most part. Like I'll get like the Sleeman mix pack and the Mill Street mix pack, and that'll cost me about $125 for the 24 pack. And then I'll get the second one. The second one I'll put in my wife's name, and I'll get 24 single cans of craft beer, which is what I'll review for the next 2 or 3 weeks to a month. And that'll cost me about $200. So I don't order beer very often because of how much it costs. When I was in the South, I was probably spending anywhere from $30 to $50 a week, sorry. But I had more expendable income, and it didn't cost me as much. For that money, I could get a lot more. No need to get into your history. Been subbed to you for maybe 8 years. I know most of the intel. What are you talking about? What history am I getting into? Douglas Hart, ha 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 ha. Yeah, so that's what it comes down to. Is I try not. I don't buy beer up there. I'll order stuff from the South, and when I order stuff from the South, I either order through my buddy, who I pay him a pickup fee and a drop off fee, and I pay him for the shipping, and I pay him for the beer, or I order from Marche Terrain. And yeah, I don't get a lot. There is 15 beers waiting for me back at the house when I get there, so I will still have 15 reviews to be able to do when I get back, but that'll probably be all I have for the next 3 to 4 weeks. And even then, when he mails a box, it takes anywhere from 5 to 25 days to get to me. So yeah, you have to plan everything out too. And then when he sends stuff up, I usually do two to 4 of them in a night. But what I'll do is I'll do like 6 ounces of each one as my review, and then I'll go out and I'll sit down and we'll watch a movie as the family, and I drink the rest of the cans while I'm watching the movie with the family. But the problem is, if there's only 8 beers in that box, well then 2 nights of reviews and I'm out of that box. But that's why I also slowly post them when I'm down. When I'm up there, but I'm also slowly posting them because of how fucking shit the internet is. Excuse me, but so a lot of people think that I'm drinking every single day. Well, I'm not. I'll drink. Again, you can tell by the beard, you can tell by the clothes, you can tell by all that stuff, but I'm usually drinking between 2 to 4 per review night, and each box will get me, well, a box from Marche Terrain will get me anywhere from 12 to 6 review nights, and a box from Brian will get me anywhere from 4 to 2 review nights, and then it'll still be that many videos though that I have to work with. And that's one of the reasons why now that I just got fucked out of another $3,000, well, close to $3,000. That's why we're contemplating other things we can do with the channel, because I'm not going to order as much beer anymore, because I want to get all of our stuff paid off, and I want to get a good hunk of money saved up so we can get out of the Arctic and not deal with this shit again. Because I can't keep doing this. I can't keep getting money saved up thinking that we're doing something good, and then something fall in my lap where it's all gone. And I got to start over in a place where a can of pop is $6. Like I can't keep doing it. I I need an out. And again, I don't hate the people up there. I don't hate my job. I think I think the being a complete outsider in the community and not being embraced at all, so having no one to interact with other than my kids and my wife, and I love my kids and my wife, but having no way to interact with anybody and having no way to even do this, because I can't just talk on the computer, I can't just interact with my friends because the internet is so bad that I think the geographic isolation is starting to get to me, and you're also culturally isolated, and you're isolated to interactions as well, because again, if I'm not at work, I don't really interact with anybody, and I've been getting angrier while I'm up there and everything else. So I think I need to start my out plan. And I mean, originally our out plan was we were going to be up for anywhere from 2 to 4 years, and we're now on year 3. But our out plan keeps getting pushed back, right? Like we were figuring we would get her credit cards paid off, and we would get like 30 grand saved up, and then we could get out. And we've probably in crises after crises lost 30 grand worth of savings, as well as gone further into debt on her credit cards. So it's one of those things where I shake my head now, right? And I said to her the last time we had a conversation about it, I'm like, I think that this is the world telling us we need to get out of the north. And she's like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't just tell you that. That's just bad luck. That's just our luck and what's happening. I go, you can say that, but right now we can get jobs almost anywhere because people aren't working. I go, right now is our time to get out. If we wait, we might get stuck. And she goes, we might get stuck, we might not. You never know what happens. I'm like, I'm going to stab you in the face with a fork. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do or say anymore. And because she tries to be the level-headed one, and she just makes me want to strangle her. I wouldn't strangle her. I love her, but you just like, you want to shake her. You want to be like, stop and listen to me. Stop trying to talk in circles and listen to me. That's my life right now. Do I think I'll run out of stuff to review? No. Between non-alcoholic stuff and alcoholic stuff, there's never a time I'll run out of stuff. It might start getting harder to find stuff, but I'll never run out of stuff to review because there is so many breweries. There's so many breweries in Ontario I've never had anything from. There's so many breweries in Quebec I've never had anything from. There's so many breweries across the country I've never had. There's a brewery in Nunavut, in Iqaluit. I've never had a beer from them. I actually had coworkers that were working in Iqaluit that were supposed to send me beers from Iqaluit. It never did happen, which was unfortunate because I wanted to try them. And if a brewery, well, Ontario has what, 287 breweries right now? If out of those 287 breweries, one brewery puts out a new beer a week, that's a lot of new beer. A lot of new beer. And then they also have all their regular brews that I haven't had because I haven't had a beer from 287 different Ontario breweries. I'm sitting in Montreal. If I knew people in Montreal and could go over, there is so many breweries in Montreal that I've never even heard the names of. The list of Canadian beers available just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. And yeah, there's breweries that are disappearing and I will have never had anything from, or that I will never have anything from again because they're gone now. But the numbers of breweries that are existing just keep growing. Oh, Douglas just hit it, right? With if there are 100 microbreweries in Canada and each one puts out 3 new beers a year, that's 1 brew every day. And yeah, that's what it comes down to. You will not run out of beers. You might run out of beers that you can easily access. And that's part of the thing, right? When I was in Ottawa this time, I ordered from Tatamagouche because I've not really had a lot of Tatamagouche beers. They had 12 beers I hadn't had. I could get them all shipped to my uncle's house. And it meant that if I walked around an LCBO or something and saw stuff from Ontario breweries, there was a lot of stuff to have. And just, I went to one LCBO my entire time there, and I picked up 12 beers, and I could have picked up about 35, but I knew I had a limited time span. I wish I had picked up all 35 because I'd have more beer to drink right now, but I didn't know I was going to be stuck here, and I'm like, well, I can't get these all back in my suitcase. So Air Inuit will stop them and say I'm smuggling and rip my suitcase apart. Like, I can probably get 2 or 3 beers back, but I can't get 30. Um, so I was, yeah. I mean, I have what? I have 9 beers left here to review right now. I have 2 energy drinks over there to review. I have a pop to review that's here. Before I leave, if I have any extra money, there's some Pokemon drinks that I was going to order to review with my son because he loves Pokemon. I'm waiting to see how much money I have left over by the time I get to flying back. So if I have the money on Tuesday, I'll order it Tuesday before I go to bed, pack it up and go. But yeah, the cleaning staff are going to have a lot of pop that are going to be for them because I don't drink regular Coke, and I have 11 cans of regular Coke. I only drank one. I ordered a 12-pack of Diet Coke, and they sent me regular Coke from the one corner store, and I'm like, and I talked about this on my day 5 quarantine video, and I'm like, really, if you're ordering diet and you don't have the one diet I ordered, you should probably send a different type of diet, because a lot of people that order diet are ordering it because they're diabetic or anything like that. I could drink the regular Coke. I don't want to. I get enough carbs in my diet. I get enough carbs from my beer. I don't need to like blow my carbs up with pop. And I know diet pop isn't good for me, but I don't drink it much because it's fucking $6 a can in the Arctic. I just wanted something in the room that wasn't water, and that was my thought. And then that came, so I drank one that night. I'm like, fuck it, I gotta drink it. So I drank it, and that's the only one I'll end up drinking. The rest of them will sit on that floor, and the cleaning lady will either throw them out or she'll have Cokes to share with her coworkers. I have 2 beers over there that I don't have to review. So if people are talking to me enough, I'll drink another one and chat with you guys. Let's see if there's been any more comments. Oh, it looks like there might have been. Oh, it's Douglas again. Oh, how are you talking to a drunken one right now? Yes, Sparky is a good guy. Say hi to Sparky for me. Ask him if he wants me to let him join a live stream in the next day or two. Funny that Magnota bought Grand River Brewing. In a single shot, they went from crap to okay. I tried their wines and hoping something was good. Not even their best. No, you know what? I liked Magnota more than I liked Grand River. And then when I found out that John was a brewer for Grand River for a while, that was kind of sad to find out because the fuck's that? Was that my wife messaging me? Ooh, it was. What does she want? Sorry, guys, 1 second. Gonna chat with my wife later. I might even get topless for it. I'll take this. This thing makes me fucking sweat. My wife bought this for me because the whole family has Ubis, right? She has 2. Braith has 2. Aiden has 1. Harlow doesn't have one yet. She asked me for one for her birthday. And she was not going to get it by the time her birthday hits because it's in like 8 days. But so she asked me for one, well, like 12 days, but still it has to get shipped to the Arctic. And I gotta wait to get paid to be able to buy anything. But my wife was, and my other two kids, Declan and Annika, have one. So she was like, you know what? I'm gonna get you one. I have so much hair, and I put off as much fucking body heat as a furnace. So this stuff makes me sweat like a motherfucker. Like I'm boiling in here, but I can't take it off because I don't have a shirt on underneath, and then my titties are out, and we don't want titties to be out. Nobody wants to see that. I don't even want to see that. Now we're gonna grab a beer. They're right over here. Let's reach over and Dopesus from Avant-Garde. 4.8% alcohol by volume. Get that price tag over there. Let's do this. I think today this cup is going to go in the recycling because I have one more of these cups still wrapped in the bathroom. Look at my beer. Look at my beer. That's a pretty beer. Better pretty than I am. My wife hasn't messaged me back. I don't think my wife likes me anymore. I think my wife's angry. Well, she's my wife. She's always angry. Whose wife isn't always angry, right? You don't listen to me. You don't. I listen to you. No, you don't. Yes, I do. No, you don't. Did you say something? I'm gonna fucking kill you. I put my taxes in before we went on vacation. My taxes went in about 15 days ago. They're still not done. They still are under review. I have a feeling I'm getting audited. I don't even know what I did to get. My wife should get audited because she has all the northern allowances and stuff on hers. I don't. I'm just a standard fucking thing. I made this much money. I paid back certain amounts of money. That's all it is. And I'm handicapped, and that's on my file. I have disability on my file. That's all I have. Yet mine's still under. I have nothing special in there. I don't understand how there's anything under review. But there is. But there is. Ooh. Yeah, Drunken One used to come out onto a lot of my channels, a lot of my live streams and stuff. He would watch them and he would be a part of them. He came onto a few of them. He was somebody that pissed off some of the the Canadian guys, because they were all like, oh, why do you have him on here? I go, because he's a cool guy. I like the guy. It's a good guy to talk to. And a lot of times, when we would come off of when we would go offline, me and him would talk about our kids and the things that our kids went through. And yeah, Drunken One's a solid dude. Drunken One is a solid dude. Yeah. I always notice, though, whenever I bring in somebody knew that I was talking to, certain people would get angry about it and be like why do you invite him to the Beer Dudes United? I don't know, because he's a cool guy to talk to. There was some people that were a loss. Like I would find out that they were extremely racist or extremely misogynistic, and I mean we all have, and to say you don't is a lie. We all have moments of weakness where we say or do something stupid. It's whether or not you can learn from that and whether or not that is actually who you are that matters. And I mean, I have a black daughter from my marriage with Alicia, and I love that girl like she's mine. She is mine. I'm the only father she's ever known. The girl turns 13. I'm the only father she's ever known. And fuck, I think it was her birthday today. Fuck. I forgot to say happy birthday to her, so as soon as I get off of this, I'm saying happy birthday to her. But anyway, where I was going with that is I had some friends that would make a lot of very racist comments that I just don't talk to anymore. And I don't talk to them because I know the things she's gone through and I know the things she still goes through. And you can't really say you're a friend of mine while making those comments knowing I have a black daughter. It doesn't work. And I think that's the stuff that bothers me is stuff like that. And there were people that I would invite on that I didn't know greatly, and I would learn about that as things went on, so they stopped getting invited on. But then at the same time, there's people that I thought I knew my whole life that have certain thoughts about different sexualities or different genders or different religions or different races that bothered me to a point that I'm like, I have to walk away. This is supposed to be a beer channel. We shouldn't be talking about this shit. See what happens when none of you help me guide a conversation? I just go. Are you doing this through StreamYard on your phone? Not at this moment. Not at this moment, but we will be so that you guys can join if you want to. But like I said, at this moment, no, I am not doing it through StreamYard because I didn't know if I could do it through StreamYard on my phone. But yes, I can. I can do it. I figured out earlier today, so we will do it. And then if people want to join, they can. Jamie C., some people in the beer community behave like 14-year-old schoolgirls. I agree. And some people in the beer community act like 14-year-old schoolboys, which is basically narcissistic little assholes. So the beer community is a very vast community, and the beer community has this thought. There's a lot of people in the beer community that think that what unites us is just our love for beer, that we shouldn't fight. We all like beer. Even if we don't like anything else, we should be able to share a beer with each other. And no, it doesn't work like that. There are fundamental differences. I had this conversation with somebody who was like, you know what, we should all be able to agree to disagree. And I go, yeah, no. He goes, what do you mean, yeah, no? I go, I can't agree to disagree with somebody who thinks somebody who is gay should not live, or somebody who is black should have less rights than them, or some. There are people that have those feelings, and I cannot agree to disagree with them. I can't go, you know what, we like beer, so it's okay if you make jokes all the time about raping girls. I have 3 daughters. No, for me that's not okay. It's not, yeah, no. But you're right that a lot of people think that just because that you both share a love for beer, you should share that love for beer and everything else should be out the window. You know what? You like Bud and I don't. That's something we can agree to disagree on, and I don't care. We can still share a beer and have a good time. You like romance movies and I like horror movies again. Sure. You like Porsches? I think Porsches are stupid and would rather spend my money on a house and buy a Kia or something like that. Sure. You think black people are the devil? No. You think gay people are ruining the world? No. I have a gay brother. I have gay cousins. I'm pretty sure my youngest son is going to be flamingly gay because he is fabulous already. No. And if he is, great for him. Hurts me a little bit only because my one son is on the spectrum and my other son may be fabulous. So where am I getting my offspring since I am the last living male McGee? But I just have to accept that that's not happening. But if that's the way he goes, great, good for him. As long as he's healthy and happy, I don't give a shit. But yeah, so there are things that I can agree to disagree with. But we're now in 2022, after what 4,000 years of cultural advancement. Well, even more than that. But let's just talk about like what we just in written history. In our written history, we have huge amounts of cultural advancement. If we still think that people that are different than us deserve to have less than us, I can't sit there and go, okay, we can agree to disagree. Let's just have fun and like each other anyway. I can't anymore. And the older I get and the more I see the trials and tribulations that my female daughters go through, or that my child with special needs goes through, or my black daughter goes through, or my gay brother goes through, the more I see the stuff that happens to them, the less I can accept let's just let you say whatever you want, because, hey, freedom of speech. Yeah, there's freedom of speech, there's not freedom from consequences, and it just... Somebody give me something else to talk about. Like, fuck. Uh-oh, I dropped you. Sperm donation. How long did I wrestle for? 11 until 21, so a decade. I wrestled for a decade. Technically, you could say till 22. 21 is where I blew my knee out, and then I tried one more tournament. Yeah, I'm using a plastic fork to try and get something under my tooth. When my knee healed, I tried one more tournament at the age of 22, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So, and I had a lot of depression and everything up until then, but I think that for my mental health, things really hit the fan when I blew my knee out and was told I might not be able to wrestle again. And then when I found out that, yeah, I couldn't wrestle again, I think it really destroyed what I had left in me, because wrestling was... I was suffering from borderline personality disorder, and for me, wrestling was at the time, it was completely my identity. And when I couldn't do it anymore, when my body just could not handle it anymore, it was a blow. It was a severe blow that I didn't know how to deal with. And it was an unfortunate thing because it really did destroy me. I did not know how to deal with it. Still don't know how to deal with it to this day, and I'm now almost 40. I turned 40 this year. Like, it's been almost 18 years, and I still am pissed off that I tried to show off and that I blew my knee out. And it was completely preventable, but I had an ego when it came to wrestling because I was really good at what I did, and I let that ego get ahead of me, And my karma was, let's blow out his knee. And I've never been the same since. My knee was already fucked from before that, but it's never been the same since. And then when I decided after my separation from my first wife, Christy, when I decided to get back in shape, I did that. I got back in shape. I met Alicia, and the same type of thing happened. You know, I was known as a fucking monster that could move anything, and I did something with my hands that I shouldn't have done, and it blew my back out, and I am now in pain quite a lot all the time. And when I go back to work, like, I haven't been in pain since we've been off because I haven't had to lift anything heavy other than my own body when I'm doing push-ups. But when we get back to work, I can guarantee you within a few days of being back to work, my back is going to be fucked again because it's never going to be able to heal. And it's another thing where I thought I could do something that I couldn't do, and I did it, and now I'm getting old and my body's falling apart, and I hurt myself. And yeah, and you know, I for a long time did that, living in the past, living in my past accomplishments and everything else. And I've talked to Alicia about it one time, and I'm like, look, if I could go back to my high school days, I would in a heartbeat. And she goes, of course you would. You were the most popular guy in the school. Everybody wanted you, this and that. She goes, of course you would. You would just go back and like play the field. I go, no, that's not what I want. She goes, well, what do you mean? What do you want? I go, I want to be able to go back to high school and tell you in high school how I felt about you. I kind of wish that I did, and I didn't for several reasons, and some of them were selfish reasons, and some of them were realistic reasons. I had no self-esteem or self-confidence, so I didn't say anything because I didn't want to. And also, two people knew how I felt about her, and one of them made fun of me because Alicia was always a bigger girl, and they're like, oh, "Look at you, and you're interested in that." And I go, "Yeah, she's beautiful." And they're like, "Yeah," and they went off on me, and it then that added to my self-esteem and my self-confidence issues, and I didn't know what to say and do. And I wish I could go back and change things because I think we both would have had a different life, especially knowing that we both were in love with each other in high school. But not something you can do. So you just got to move on. But because of the mental health issues I've had, I do live in the past quite often, in that I will fixate on something and think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it. And it's an unfortunate thing that I still, to this day, after years of therapy, uh, still try to get past. And sometimes I do great, and then other times I don't. And right now, being alone in this hotel room, and I've told her this when we've talked, I'm like, you know, I'm living in my head right now. I'm going through every mistake I've ever made. I'm going through this. I'm going through that. And she's like, you need to stop. And I go, I know I need to stop, but all I can do is pace back and forth in this room. I don't know how to get it out. So there's that. I thought about coaching wrestling up there in the Arctic. I don't know if one wrestling would be even feasible up there because you're not going to have any tournaments. It costs so much money to get from place to place, and then to get mats up there and everything else. But she's supposed to have a call tomorrow with our district sales and operations manager, who's supposed to give her the offer for our promotion. And mattering what that offer is, maybe I'll look into that. Maybe I will. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see, maybe. Um, well, Middle Fro, as soon as I'm done this beer, I could go. I have a horrible vocabulary for describing beers. I am the epitome of fucking low class beer reviewer. This smells like a wet fart. Like, come on now. Um, I was talking to Harry when he dropped off the last batch of beers, and I gave him the $50 that I had in cash in my phone. And I was talking about how me and Jordan St. John sometimes talk about beers, and he'll give me his write up, and I'll tell him my lowbrow thing. And a lot of times, my lowbrow and his highbrow are pretty close to the same, just in a lot different words. And he'll be like, "Hey, good to know that we think the same." I'm like, "You think that's thinking the same?" He's like, "Yeah, that's thinking the same." But yeah, so middle fry, I'm more than willing to, as long as my wife doesn't want me to talk to her right after I get off of this. I'm good to go, at least for a little bit. I just need a link, and I can StreamYard join you. I don't know. I did videos when I was in high school about wrestling. When I was leaving for university, the teacher that was in charge of the wrestling team asked me to do a wrestling coaching video, and teach moves and stuff. And I did just that. I did a video before we left, and it was fun. But I don't know. I still, at 40 years old, I'm with the woman I fell in love with in high school. I'm with 3 of my 5 kids. I see more of a future and more of a success than I've ever seen in my life. Yet I still have no self-esteem or self-confidence. So the thought that I can do anything well just isn't really there. And I can only really admit this because she's not here right now, and I don't think she's watching at this point, because she'd be watching a movie or something with the kids. But I love her. I can't wait to grow old with her, even if I feel old already. And I still think she could do better. And I still don't think I'm anywhere near what she deserves. And it just comes down to my whole childhood of my mom beating me down about not being able to do anything. So, I mean, I appreciate those great words that I do this well. I don't think I do. And I can look onto people that I don't think do it even as well as me, and just the success they have. But I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I really hate being cooped up in this fucking hotel room. I hate it. Because again, I'm just running through shit in my head the whole time I'm here. It's the main reason I'm doing these live streams too, is because it gives me at least a semi reasonable way to get over some of those roadblocks and get past some of them and think about other things. It doesn't always work, but it's there, right? It starts doing something. Well, let's see if there's any more comments before we go. Yeah, all right, guys. Good night.